Over the last few years, we've all grown accustomed to a technology that has become increasingly prevalent in our society in practice, artificial intelligence. Now, with any new tool, the potential it offers to society is largely determined by its user. But because we're human, we often don't wait to figure out what the downsides are before we embrace something wholeheartedly. As you can imagine, when it becomes to Republicans and Donald's cronies in general, artificial intelligence looks more like artificial incompetence. This week alone, we've seen senior officials within the Trump regime either botch the use of AI or become targets of those who actually know how to use it. One way AI has screwed over certain members of the Trump regime, well, people are using AI to impersonate Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Take a look at ABC's coverage.
What appears to have happened is that an unknown actor was able to use recordings of Secretary of State Marco Rubio talking, use that to manipulate his voice to create these very convincing messages that mirrored his tone of speech, his pattern of talking, and to communicate with those high-level officials via voice messages and text messages. Officials say it appeared that this individual was going after privileged information, trying to gain access. It does not appear that they were successful, but it is apparent that this is a growing problem. Because officials tell us that it's not the only incident involving the impersonation of high-level officials at the State Department that's currently under investigation.
Yeah, this unknown individual with a killer sense of humor. Absolutely. By the way, it is much easier to imitate somebody who has no personality. So, Marco, you are out of luck. The FBI has issued a warning about a quote-unquote malicious campaign using text messages and AI-generated voice calls impersonating a senior government official in an attempt to deceive other federal employees. Here's the kicker. This is not the first time somebody in Donald's top-tier team, mind you, has fallen for it. Earlier this year, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was targeted after someone apparently got access to the contents of her personal cell phone. Way to be responsible. Let that sink in. One of Donald's most powerful aides, because this is the case, the Chief of Staff of the President of the United States of America is one of the most powerful people on the planet. She had her personal cell phone compromised. And now we've got AI hoaxes hitting elected officials, business leaders, and former Senator Marco Rubio, who is head of the State Department, head of the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau, and full-time keeper of the Diet Coke button. This is bad. Once again, the people in Donald's orbit cannot seem to keep their own data secure. They are running a surveillance state, but they themselves seem to be more vulnerable to surveillance than the rest of us. Look, we all know that AI deception is a very real threat, and it is having a deleterious impact in many areas of our culture, including education, for example. But this is not a phishing email being sent to senior citizens. These are federal officials who, one, should know better, and two, should have at their disposal the most effective means to protect their own data. These people are responsible for enormous budgets. They have the highest security clearance. They have access to intelligence briefing, and they have access to an intelligence community who could, I don't know, maybe help them out. Hey guys, just unplug it and plug it back in, something. And yet somehow they continue to get duped, in this case by a voice app with a Wi-Fi connection. These people are supposed to be running the country, but they can't even figure out how to use two-factor authentication. Even after getting embarrassed by AI, members of the Trump regime don't want to regulate it. Donald pushed a 10-year moratorium on regulating AI in his disastrous budget bill, which the Republicans passed. It got cut, but he got his way anyway. How? By forbidding the federal government to touch it. It will be up to states to decide how they want to handle AI, which is a recipe for disaster. Quite frankly, that means that half the states will continue to fail to regulate AI, which will create havoc, and half the states will put in place regulation to protect us from a potentially very useful, but also a potentially very, very dangerous technology. It isn't simply, though, that Republicans in power are falling for the scams. It's that they keep giving the people who actually know how to create the kinds of AI that the idiots in Congress keep falling for and the idiots in Donald's administration keep falling for, even after it has burned them. Much like their boss, they don't learn, they double down. And that is one of the many reasons, but a very relevant one, why independent media matters so much. We're not beholden to these people. We do not rely on potentially fake sources for our information. We don't answer to tech billionaires or authoritarian regimes. We answer to you, which is why we take our responsibility as members of the independent media so seriously, because we want to make sure that you always have the most up-to-date facts and the truth. So if you want to help us keep exposing this kind of corruption, incompetence, and danger in real time, please like and share this video and subscribe to our channel so we can grow this platform before the algorithm buries us. The downfalls of AI are playing out in real time on Twitter. CBS Chicago has a clip.
Well, Elon Musk's AI chatbot Grok is under fire for pushing anti-Semitic tropes in some of its responses. Yesterday, it linked several harmful stereotypes to an account it identified as being Ashkenazi Jewish. That account sparked backlash after posting offensive comments about the victims of the deadly Texas flooding. In a post on X, Grok's team says they are, quote, actively working to remove the inappropriate post.
Little context here. Grok was designed to be Twitter's real-time fact-checking mechanism. But here's the thing. Elon Musk didn't like Grok because it started fact-checking him. Yes, it fact-checked Elon Musk's almost always false, misleading tweets, his tweets of misinformation and disinformation and propaganda. So what did he do? Well, he trained Grok to be a Nazi. Grok has praised Hitler. It has published rape fantasies, pushed misinformation, attacked people with Jewish-sounding names, and called itself Mecha Hitler. This was not a coincidence. After, as I mentioned, Elon got called out by Grok a number of times, Twitter pushed a system prompt update that basically retrained Grok to absorb information from tweets versus real news sources. It told the chatbot that it, quote, should not shy away from making claims which are politically incorrect. That does not sound like fact-checking to me. Hours before Musk launched an even newer version of Grok, Grok 4, CEO Linda Yaccarino stepped down from her position at Twitter. While reports say there was no direct connection between the events, at least as far as we know, it is difficult for me to believe that the woman who was hired in 2023 would suddenly quit her job for no reason. And get this, after she stepped down, Twitter took away her blue check mark, which seems very petty, but on the other hand, it also seems exactly like something Elon Musk would do because he is petty. So what's the moral of this story? Well, you cannot control Elon Musk, but you can control AI, especially when you deliberately point it towards disinformation and reprogram it to be as bigoted as the guy who owns the platform. Despite all of this, Donald and his loyalists are still trying to weaponize AI, even, or maybe especially, if it puts national security at risk. That leads us to Director of National Intelligence and Russian asset, Tulsi Gabbard. As Director of National Intelligence, Gabbard has launched a secretive internal unit called the Directors Initiative Group, or DIG for short, because these people really like their stupid acronyms. The mission of DIG is to scan the emails, chats, and internal comms of U.S. intelligence officials using AI, all under the pretense of depoliticizing the agency. But, let's be real. That is utter pretense. This is not about neutrality. This is about loyalty. DIG is demanding administration-level access to the most sensitive government systems, email servers, internal Slack equivalents, even top-secret comms on nuclear threats and foreign surveillance. The claim, of course, is to spot bias and waste. Yeah, waste, fraud, abuse. Ever hear that one? But longtime intelligence veterans are calling it exactly what it seems to be, because we're not stupid: a political witch hunt. Multiple agencies have pushed back, warning that these maneuvers could compromise national security, or worse, create a chilling effect where intelligence officers start censoring themselves in order to stay on the vindictive man's good side. Yeah, that would be Donald. Didn't know he had a good side, did you? We already know how reckless Donald and his cohorts are with sensitive information. Now imagine adding unstable, unregulated AI to the mix. Because these guys cannot even keep intelligence to themselves, highly secret classified intelligence. What would it mean if an unregulated and, quite frankly, not entirely understood tool, or potentially weapon, like artificial intelligence, were in the mix? At this point, AI is not exposing bias. It's highlighting the lack of basic intelligence inside of Donald's inner circle. And I'm using the word intelligence in both senses. Again, user error is everything here. We as a society are unprepared for the ways in which AI can reshape our culture and our relationship to information. We don't know enough. And again, it's another instance in which just because we can do a thing, we do that thing. We need restraint here. We need, desperately, regulation. But the Republicans refuse. And it has already started biting them in the ass. The problem is, it won't stop with that.
Please take a second and like and share this video. It'd be awesome if you could subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to us in podcast form, please follow us and give the show a 5-star rating, because it really does help other people find our content. Thanks.